Hello and welcome back to the Show Me Mo podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peach, and this is what we determined to be our monthly fireside chat with Charley, Executive Director of MSPMA. Charley, welcome back, my friend.
Good morning, Josh. Glad to be with you.
Well, you brought as if this was a Christmas episode, if we're going to call it that, you brought a couple of your elves with you to share all the work that's going on with the association. We can get into that. It's the holidays. We're at December 8th, and this is kind of an interesting time for facilities professionals and education, right? Because a lot of folks are getting ready for the winter break, and facility teams, specifically in cold weather climates, have got a lot to worry about, making sure pipes don't freeze up and getting projects done while the hallways are empty. And MSPMA also has a lot of work with some stuff you guys have going on. But before you dig in, let's say hello to two of your awesome members that have given us some time this morning, that both are dialing in remotely from parts unknown, to give us some of their time. So Salum Stutzer from Francis Howell, welcome, my friend. You look comfortable.
I am, Josh. Thank you. Good morning.
It looks like you might be next to a fireplace with that chair you got and the backdrop and everything. So you fit the bill for this month's podcast.
Absolutely, and I'm as Charley already noted, I'm traveling. As one of the things that we always try to do as professionals is be there for our kiddos, and we are in South Bend, Indiana, for some hockey tournaments this weekend. So, in lieu of being in the office, I think professionally we also have a responsibility to support our kiddos. So I'm doing both.
Yeah. And I've been to one of your son's hockey games, and I'll tell you, it's for younger players. They got more energy than I can ever imagine now, and good games to watch. So good luck this weekend. I'm sure you guys are going to do real well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and with no video because he's mobile, we have from Raymore-Peculiar, Mr. Scott Dobson. Scott, welcome aboard, my friend.
Good morning. Thank you. Yeah,
and Scott,
I am on the road this morning, so I figured video would be the best.
All right. Well, you get a little bit of a spotty signal there, so we'll make sure we try to make our talk with you. And you got 4 bars or better, and 3, 4, or 5 or 10G going. But welcome and thank you for giving your time. Is this your first podcast? You haven't been on the podcast before, have you?
I have not. This is my first.
Well,
excited.
That's good. We'll try to be easy on you. So Charley, you got these guys with you. I'm sure you got lots to share. MSPMA is just, you guys are knocking it out of the park every time I seem to talk to you. You got some new idea, you got something brewing in you, with you and your board to help your members. What's been going on the last 30 days?
Well, the last 30 days, and we're planning 3-4 years out right now. So we locked up our conferences up through 2026, 27. So we're very excited about that. We have dates for those now. Back in Branson, the board we feel like that's just a great fit for our membership. It's a great place for us to visit. We've got that taken care of. We are headed down the home stretch here. That's why Scott and Salum have joined us for our January training program in St. Charles, and already planning April out in Lee Summit. So new budget year, looking at budgets for our association and bringing some new people on. We'll talk about that another month to help us with our growth. We're larger than we've ever been, and we're serving more school districts than ever. And our districts just want more training. They want to be around each other more. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah. And let's get right into St. Charles. I went to St. Charles last year, and this is something I'm really starting to see a trend in the right direction, because a lot of associations, they have their annual conference, which yours was just, the energy was amazing. And then that's it. Right. And then everybody goes away for 364 days and they come back and redo it. But you guys are different. You're constantly putting events out there, and the first of the new year comes right out of the gate. January 10th and 11th, if I remember correctly. 2-day, part of its core, part of its PD. Talk about the curriculum, and then also, with Salum and Scott here, I'm guessing they got a pretty strong part in the PD portion.
They do. The PD, we call it our day conference now. We used to just offer in St. Charles and then Lee Summit outside of our conference. We offered one module each in those locations throughout the year, one January, one April. And then we thought, our folks are driving these distances and there are more topics that they want to discuss and want information on. So we added a half day prior to our module offerings in those locations, and we call it a day conference. We come in, start about 1 o'clock, and we lengthen our sessions. We have longer sessions, fewer topics. We try to engage our audience. We want them to ask questions. We want it to be a deeper conversation than the typical breakout session. So we'll have 2 of those on January the 10th, one with Scott and one with Salum, and I'm sure they can tell you a lot more about than I can.
Yeah. You want me to jump right into it, I guess?
Get right after it there, Salum. Don't waste a second.
Absolutely. Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity, as always, to our executive director and you, Joshua Peach, for the opportunity to share a lot of the great things that are taking place with our state organization. And so on January 10th, what our executive director has tasked me with is really presenting on cooperative purchasing, specifically utilizing the TIPS cooperative purchasing organization. We presented at our annual conference that delivery method, or utilizing TIPS for various deliveries, and I'll talk about that here in a second. And it was really well received and provided a lot of knowledge to not only members, but prospective members that were in the audience. And so it was such a big hit that Charley wants to bring it back and share and really grow it from a standpoint where we are engaging and even having some small breakout groups within that, and be able to really continue to serve our members and educate them on what cooperative purchasing can do and what it can, how it can serve them in their district. As you always hear, Missouri's got 500 plus school systems, and every one of them looks differently from how they're organizationally structured. A district that I'm in, obviously we've got, it's a large district and we've got multiple layers, but for a majority of school systems in the state of Missouri, your superintendent could be your bus driver, could be your director of facilities, could be a lot of different things. And putting together RFPs for scopes of work may not be their strong skill set. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to utilize cooperative purchasing, which is a legal delivery method for almost every single school system in the state of Missouri. It checks all of the legal requirements from a state statute standpoint. And so we're just going to educate those in the audience and crowd about what that looks like, how to utilize it, how to set things up. And I will also share how I've used it. Most recently in my prior district, Independence Public Schools, located in Independence, Missouri, we utilized it to deliver really a total package of about $10 million in HVAC improvements in our district that touched and affected 22 sites. And so it worked well. And it was really one of the most unique deliveries in the state of Missouri in the most recent years, and can touch on its success and share the outcomes, what we learned, and what we would do differently, moving forward. And as a part of that, we're also going to bring in our TIPS cooperative partner, who basically our client relations person, Miss Meredith Barton, and she can kind of educate our attendees from how to set up that framework on that end. Also educate them on what TIPS truly is. It is a purchasing cooperative, and I think there's maybe some misinformation at times in terms of, does it meet legal state statute for not just Missouri but other areas, and so she'll touch on that and really provide guidance on that piece of it. Because we all get questions from our boards of educations and our leadership. Obviously we always have to make sure that we follow state statute in our respective areas as well as board policy. So she'll talk about the legal end of things in terms of how TIPS meets all of those expectations, if you will. So that's kind of no long-winded, but a little bit of a highlight in terms of what our framework will look like for that day. And I'm excited to join again with my presenting partners to continue to serve our members.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I will give a plug for TIPS as one of the companies that's a vendor that's on the TIPS contract. They are absolute professionals. Charley Martin, I guess his role is CFO or CRO. He is always making himself available to answer those questions, and I think that's great that you're going to be from the client perspective, the school perspective, going to be able to give that insight. That it's the biggest challenge, I think you touched on it, which I'm sure you're going to go into more detail, is misinformation. Right? We've always done it this way with RFPs, and we've always gone this route. And the average RFP costs about $10,000 to produce, and it costs about $10,000 for the vendor to respond. So when you have entities, and TIPS isn't the only one, they're just seem to be one of the best ones, if not the best one, especially in Missouri. If they do the due diligence, they do all the work, they do all of the legwork, and you can be part of that. And following state statutes, everybody wins. So I'm excited to see that session, and I'm glad that they've got a resource, Meredith, that's going to be there to drill in and answer any of the difficult questions that might come up. But I think you're going to have it all covered. I think you're going to make Meredith's job real easy that day. So she's left out on the presenter there.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate that. We appreciate her, and it's really great as I've used TIPS as well as other cooperative purchasing mechanisms. What we've learned is we really end up saving our taxpayers a significant amount of financial resources.
Yep.
And you touched on that, whether it's time and effort, from a payroll standpoint, to put that RFP or RFQ together, have the bid openings, just do all of those things. And TIPS does that for us.
Yep.
and allows us to take advantage of those cooperative contracts that have been competitively bid, meet state statute, and take those back to our board of educations for recommendations, and ultimately get the work done that we need to do to be able to best serve kids.
Yep, 100%. Well, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this one, and appreciate you putting together all the time and effort on this. And Charley, we got Scott, and I think hopefully he's in a good spot for reception to get into his topic, and he's going to be talking about what?
Scott's going to be talking about preventive maintenance and a program that schools ought to take a good hard look at.
Yeah,
you got it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Charley, and thank you, Josh. Sloan, great job. I'm excited to hear about that. I always appreciate just your dedication to the students of your district and then the taxpayers of your community. It's always so great to see us trying to stretch our dollars as best as we can and get as many projects as humanly possible done at the best competitive price. So always exciting to hear about that. But yeah, we're going to focus heavily on preventative maintenance, try to understand where districts are at and how to help meet them where they are. Sometimes preventive maintenance gets to be just an overwhelmingly large topic, from not just changing furnace filters and things like that, but a lot of our state statutes, your local JSA requirements when it comes to kitchen hood inspections, kitchen hood cleaning, fire extinguishers. The list is getting longer by the year. Now we have lead testing and water testing comes into play. We have, maybe you have some older facilities with asbestos, and we have to look at those reevaluations and where we're at there. We're really excited about it. I think it'll be a good topic. Our goal is to kind of give everybody some handouts and try to help, again, meet them where they're at. Maybe your district has a large comprehensive plan and documents already set forth, and maybe you have lots of software to help you track that. And then, like Charley and Slim have already said, our state is unique. We have a lot of districts that you could wear multiple hats, and you are doing many of those jobs. And some of those districts are under, many of those districts are under 1,000 students. And so potentially they don't have some of those resources, and don't let that be a hindrance to your program. Simple Google Doc, a simple Excel spreadsheet. I started that way. I will never lie there. We started with just an Excel spreadsheet with tabs across the bottom and just tracking dates of when we did things, and it's something to always reference back, using just a Google Calendar to send yourself calendar invites for scheduling things. You don't have to necessarily have a software. Does it make it easier at times? Absolutely it does. But I think we can kind of help show a district a course forward, something to plan for, and kind of that elevator track forward on the best way. So we're really excited about it. I believe Jim Rich is going to be helping me present this from Park Hill School District, and he has an extremely wealth of knowledge, been in the industry a lot of years, and still to this day teaches me many things in the industry. So really excited about it. I hope our patrons are going to be real excited to receive the information. And one of the really awesome things that I feel super passionate about here at MSPMA is how ourselves as leaders are helping to lead the courses. We're not just bringing in a vendor that is going to tell us how they think we should do things, or couple it with a sales pitch on the backside. I think one of the super powerful things that Charley's doing for our organization is letting us that are in the trenches every day lead these and show what we feel are the best practices in our school districts. And it doesn't have to be the best fit for every district, but we're also hoping for some open collaboration with ideas. I always learn a ton at these events, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, good. And that's, it's interesting because preventive maintenance is not a overly interesting topic of discussion for most, but it is one that is needed. It is one that I'm a huge proponent and believer that every school district USA is doing preventive maintenance work. Otherwise, we would have catastrophic failure across the board, but it's not being captured. And if it's not, then we don't know how much actually is being done. And I was part of a study back in 2010 where we did a lot of data collection, and we found that there were some things like there was a 50 to 65% reduction in the rate of emergency work, meaning if a district is 90% reactive, if we can just move the bar from 10% proactive to 20% proactive, we'll start drawing down that reactive workflow and be able to start keeping and maintaining, our spaces in a much better fashion. And also the cost. A lot of people, we talk about money. It's anywhere between 25 and 40% less cost in a work order to do it proactively than reactively. And that reactively a lot of times has things like emergency orders for outsourced folks to come in. So I'm excited to see and hear what you guys talk about. And yeah, Jim is a bit of a legend in the industry, so I look forward to hearing and seeing how he's developed his program. And those little schools, Scott, I've been to a bunch of them, and yeah, they wear a bunch of hats. But I'll tell you, I had the good fortune to go to Campbell, Missouri. I stopped on my way to say hi to Salum, and none of us knew where Campbell, Missouri was. It was a hike and a half away, and I think they've got 600 students, K-12. Campbell is the peach capital of Missouri, and I'm going to tell you something. These school buildings, and they're older buildings, the maintenance level and just the passion and care that the staff has for the space, you could tell, and they were doing good work. So even though they wear multiple hats in Missouri, they're getting the job done pretty good. So I think with a little bit of a shot in the arm of understanding and some best practice, whether whatever the way that they're doing that management. And you're spot on. My PM system for my house for a while was just my Outlook calendar, because it's not a it's not a large building, and it was just me, and that was kind of my easiest way. And now that I'm back in the business, I've got my own account and I'm doing it that way. But it is important. So love these topics. I think they're extremely timely when we're talking about ESSER funds going away and the need to utilize and keep our facilities running smoothly. So great job by all of you to put this together, and appreciate you giving a little insight. Charley, what else is using? This is a 2-day deal, so you got these now. They're kicking it off on day one, or is this day two?
Day one, Salum and Scott and Jim will kick this off. They're at the St. Charles Drury Suites at the streets of St. Charles, Missouri. It'll kick off at 1:30, and each will spend at least an hour and a half on their topics. And as Salum indicated, we want to engage the group in some group discussion, bring some stuff back to the group verbally. Josh, that hopefully you'll help us moderate. And then on that evening, most of our folks that come in for that day, we either have those out of the St. Louis region, and then some stay the evening there at the Drury. We have a happy hour, social hour that we get together within there in walking distance on the plaza. And there's a lot of information is shared and learned there, and that's at 6:30 in the evening. The next morning at 8 or 8:30, we start our core curriculum, our 8 core modules. We offer module 4 on this Thursday over maintenance and operations. We do have an architect joining us for the building envelope. We have one of our vendors joining us for the roof maintenance. Then Scott doesn't know this yet, Josh, but he is abbreviating his session, and because module 4 offers preventative maintenance program, so there's no reason to bring in another party. We'll just double down with Scott. He can abbreviate that. And then building automation systems, we have another vendor coming in for that. And most folks think of building automation as we control our heating and cooling, but a true BAM now covers everything, from fire alarms to cameras to just immense how many things now are run by a computer and automation. So we have one of our vendors bring that to us, and that'll be our module 4 offering in St. Charles for our core certification.
I think
go ahead.
And I think it's important for us to point out right now, because I was there last year and because of the space constraints, and I think it's probably intentional, because I think if you have any more than you have, I think it starts to lose a lot of that feel and ability, like you guys want to be able to answer questions and have it engaging and interactive, and that networking piece. You sold out last year. I mean, you were at capacity and then some, because you had people that showed up that were registering at the door, if you will. So it is important for people to register early, to lock your spot in. And there isn't a hotel block per se, but they want to block a room at the Drury Suites in St. Charles. Correct. Just fill that information in if you would, because I don't want people to say, oh, I can wait till after Christmas, or I could wait till New Year's. And you don't want to wait, because you guys sold out. I think you guys sold out before the new year with that mid-January, if I remember correctly.
We did, Josh. We have 156 active people still taking classes in our core certification program. And we've graduated folks since 2014. So our average class is 25 folks this year. That's about what we had last year. We had over 40. So that's a very active program, is our basic facility managers core certification program. So that will take place on day 2, which is the 11th. Josh, we also, our board is working on an advanced certification. We'll call it our master's school facility certification program. We don't have it all hammered out. We have it outlined. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We have because all these folks have graduated, they still see the benefit in facility training and programming and being around each other and socializing and just learning and bouncing ideas and questions off folks. And they want more. And so our board has supported a new venture that we're going to call a master's facility program. So the idea is after you finish your core certification, that you're able to have more in learning, but we're going to change the learning style. We're going to offer these programs more in a cohort where you would have about 5 topics that you would study in depth and you would engage with the similar group of folks in school facilities. Let's say 20, 25 facility managers. Your program would be 6 to 8 sessions long. Most of it will be virtual. And you would engage in things. The first one will begin here on the second day in a separate room on January 11th. Our friend Paul Anastasia, a good friend of yours, will lead this program over Lead with Your Strengths. And that particular, every one of these classes, we want to have something to take back to your district, something that you work on through those classes. This particular one has 2 facets to it. It's a self-assessment of your strengths that you do online during the course. So you learn a little bit about yourself, but then you also learn to try and evaluate the strengths of some of your staff. So that's team building, so that you pull those strengths in from your staff and you utilize those as a leader on your team. And so those are kind of the 2 facets of it. Paul will lead that through 8 sessions. He'll begin here in January. He'll complete it in April. So that would be one course towards a master's certification school facilities by MSPMA. We think that's going to be about 5 sessions long. And we think that we'll kick another one off in April. Some topics that our board are considering are creating an entire preventive maintenance program for your school district and seeing the value and all the data so that you can, through your 6 or 8 sessions virtually together as a cohort team, you can put together a PM program for your district. And when you're finished, you have one finished, you have one done and complete. Another topic is potentially Amy Roderick, the Center of Educational Safety, is on our board. She's a wonderful resource and a great contributor to MSPMA. So we're thinking that the self-assessments for safety should continue. They shouldn't be a one-time, we did a safety assessment 3 years ago and here's what we put into play. It should be something that we can do here in our own districts as well. And so you would teach the evaluation of safety of your facilities and put a plan in place over the next 2 or 3 years that you and your staff, your maintenance staff, can engage in, because maintenance, there are a lot of hard mechanical fasteners to maintenance and systems. And so we want to make sure that those things are in place. So you would have that plan that you created and you would have that assessment for your school district when you finish the course. So there are 3 potential courses, and we'll start with the leadership that we offer in the master's level program. We're thinking that 5 of those would be a great experience, 2.5 years working with your peers, working with those in districts like Salum and Scott and Jim. And those will all be taught by our own members of MSPMA. We may bring in outside resources, whoever's going to facilitate each session or each program. We'll bring in some outside resources because it's important. But that's our thinking, and that's a program that we're really proud of. And Paul Anastasia from K-12 Pros has agreed to lead the first program. We're excited about Paul. I met Paul through you a 1.5 years or so ago, and he is one of us, but he's real. He has a different perspective, and he's intellectual. He's humorous. And so I would think I couldn't imagine not spending 8 sessions with someone other than Paul. I think that'll just going to be great. He's a really good one. He may lead more for us, we hope. We'll just see where his strengths are and his comfort zones, but we'll lead those with MSPMA or like members. So.
Yeah, and that session will be it's an 8 session course. 6 of them will be fully remote because Paul is located over here, either in Boston, New Hampshire, New York, or Florida. He's semi-retired, so he bounces around from place to place pretty good. It's hard to keep up with them. But the 6 in between will be virtual. The one in the first and the last will be a hybrid. So we're going to come out with cameras and setup and Zoom. So if you want to register and you can't make the in-person portions, don't let that stop you from registering. Still register, still plan to come. Would love to have you at one or both of the in-persons. Lee Summit, we're going to figure out some level of having some certificate celebration for the we'll call them, maybe we'll call it the Trailblazer program or something along those lines for those that came in. There's people signing up. Fast and furious. And we've got people, this is the one thing that I'm really loving to be a part of, and such an honor, is I'm watching people around the country call me and say, hey, can I be a part of this? Can I join the Strength Finders program? Can I follow along, or can I come to any of these events? Because Missouri's really doing some great stuff, and it's showing your effort. You're constantly, Charlie, you and your board are constantly giving acknowledgement and appreciation for groups like the Midwest Facility Masters Conference and Wisconsin ASBO for getting you guys started with the certification program. And you're not just holding that torch, you're raising that bar. And developing this master's program, which I think is great, because up until recently, there wasn't a program in college for people to go for facility management. Now we do have bachelor programs and master programs in facility management specifically, but they're few and far between. And for you're building a non-degree but accredited program recognized by the state to help your members raise their level of experience, professionalism, and leadership. And I'm just blown away and so impressed by it. So congratulations on all of this. Now, the one thing I don't think we did say, and if you did, I missed it. Where do people register and sign up and get themselves ready for this awesome event?
Well, 100% of the registration is on our website at www.MSPMA, MissouriSchoolPlantManagers.com. So we met earlier this week, and I believe by this weekend, into this week, early next week, go to our website, take a look at the new registration. We'll have the day conference registration that doesn't cost anything. It's provided by MSPMA. Then you would register for the module 4. Even if you have already paid, you will register to let us know you're going to be there. We like to put name tags on folks so you can refer to each other by first name. That's part of the learning from each other type thing, starting that dialogue. And then we will also, you have the opportunity then, if you go to the website, to register for the master's class on leadership, Lead with Your Strengths. So the Lead with Your Strengths is a separate fee. I think it's $225, and fees are embedded. I think it's a total of $248. The modules are $63 each, or you can pay for the entire basic facility manager course certification for $260 at $45. We've been adjusting some things, but and you can use your credit card. Districts don't like the fees. We've waived all the fees, so there are no fees there. Your receipt comes directly to you after you register, so it makes it pretty easy. But all those things are on MSPMA.com. And I just received a registration while we were here this morning at 8:21 from a facility managers down at the Farmington School District, and he registered for a leadership class. So we're excited about that. Now, can I do the leadership class and not do the facility manager course certification program? Well, the answer to that is yes. I mean, whatever you want, it's a la carte. You can pick it up. The intent is that it's a second level and upper level of certification because it's a deeper dive. The FMCC program is extremely important because the curriculum is broader. The classes aren't as deep, but there are more of them. So 33 classes in the Facility Managers Course Certification Program, 33 different session topics under 8 different categories. So that's what you would get on Thursday, day 2.
Yep.
But when you get in the master's level class, we're going to choose topics. We're going to choose 5 or 6, and again, all in development. But I must say we do have a small committee that we put together to study our current FMCC curriculum and going forward the master's level concept and idea. And Jeannie Diamond is joining us out of Wisconsin for our small committee, and they would like to at least be in on the conversations of a upper level certification, and they like the engagement idea of what we're discussing, and so I think, like Paul, when you're finished, you will see yourself for your strengths. You'll be able to understand how you use your strengths, but be able to find the strengths in your team and those around you, and be able to utilize those. So we're excited about it, Josh. Got a lot of stuff going on. Future conferences, we'll post those soon on our website. They'll all be in Branson, all the last Sunday of September. That works well with all the other associations in our state, and also the MSPMAs in contiguous states to us. We want to make sure that we stay out of each other's lanes and give each other the opportunity to come to one another's events. So all those have been scheduled the last Sunday of September.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And a couple of points on your pieces there. First of all, Jeannie's amazing at Wisconsin Asphalt, so I love that she's getting involved. Not surprised on that one. So congratulations with that synergy and going across state lines, and love the synergy with all of the states putting together, which we talked about in the last fireside chat about the first we'll call it regional NSPMA meeting that you hosted in Branson, which was what a great start. What a great way to kick things off, the discussions and everything. But another work in progress that you have going on is, if you didn't have enough already, you're doing a website rebuild, and you're giving folks the ability to, if they still like the look and feel of the old one, they can transition to the old one, but the new one is looking good and it's coming along nice. For finding the modules and the Strength Finder registration, when you go to MSPMA.com, you want to go to online store. And when you click on online store, you want to click on module 4 if you're going to do the module 4 training. Again, if you've already paid, you still need to register so we can get your name badge and know that you're coming. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, lead with your strengths, it's $248. That's gonna include the Strength Finders book. We're gonna figure out, working on getting those out to everybody so you can do the Strength Finders test, which is vital. And Charley's smiling because it was a lot of work to get me to take mine, and it was because I took the test and I found my 5 core strengths, and I also found out what it also does is it also puts you in a pool of how many other like-minded leaders are there like you, and there's 10. There are approximately 1 in 33 million people that would answer similarly to have the same 5 strengths that I have. So when I look around and I go, why don't these people get what I'm thinking and doing and all this other stuff? It's because it's a high unlikelihood of people being around that have kind of the same thought process that I do, which I admit is oftentimes confusing even to me. So, but those are some of the points that I'll add to that. You absolutely want to register for these because when the seats are out, this is one of those spots. It's a great facility. The staff there are phenomenal, very accommodating, but they have space limitations that we just can't exceed. And like I said, you sold out and you had to turn folks away, which is something always hard. You never want to do that, but it's a pleasant problem to have, right? Is that you have such excitement waiting at the door. So be sure, register before the holidays if you can. If you have any questions, Charley, who do they get a hold of, and how do they get a hold of them with questions, concerns, difficulties, anything?
Well, I'm the one to get a hold of. C. Branham at MSPMA.com. However, we do have info at MSPMA.com, and I monitor the info as well. So either way, and those emails are on our website. They're attached, and they can get to me pretty quick. I answer them quickly, usually by a call on the road, or I'm answering one this morning as we are visiting here. So we're pretty accessible, and we are looking forward to the event. When you bring these guys in like Scott and Jim and Salum, and then bring Meredith in, and with your support, Josh, and leadership, it makes you better. We have an engaging board. It just flabbergasted me to realize how much our board does for others by being on the board and by leading these sessions and by being in attendance. They're so welcoming. When you walk in on January the 10th and January 11th, our board will be there at the door, welcoming you, saying hello, shaking your hand, taking you to the registration counter, into the rooms. I mean, we're pleased you're there. We're all proud of the work we do in our schools, and we know that it magnifies outside of our own school districts by being a part of MSPMA and being engaged. So it really, really is good. Our superintendents are noticing this across the state. We're having folks join us because the superintendent wants to get them involved. I've had a conversation already this week. Gentlemen, my superintendent wanted me to call you and wanted us to get involved. And there's no wrong time to begin. You don't say, I'll wait till next year's conference. You go ahead and get involved now. St. Louis and Kansas City and Springfield and some of the regions, we have 8 regions around our state with representatives from our board, and they do events, or they have some virtual visits like we're doing here once or twice a year. In this case, it's St. Charles in January. Everyone's invited. The right time is now. If you're thinking about it, do it now. If not, in a year, you'll forget it. It'll bypass you. Those 3 days will go so fast because you're so busy that time of year. And I don't know, Josh, that there's a time when you're not busy in school facilities. So, it's also kind of a test for you to be gone and to organize your staff and to communicate with others that you're gone, and you go take that time, and then you bring things back to your district. And that's what I was told by the Ozark School District early this morning on the phone with them. We make the time, we organize things before we leave, and we have emergencies, we deal with them, but we try to, in many ways, prevent that by communicating and organizing before we leave. We come and learn, we come back and debrief. We spend a lot of time as a team when we return from your events, MSPMA events, and we debrief and we talk about things and we get on the same page, and then we go out and do our work. And it makes us so much more efficient and get so much more done that way. So no wrong time to get involved. If you're thinking about getting involved, it's time to get involved right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you that spot on. We can take that in so many aspects of facilities. I know Scott's going to talk about because it's something I talk about with schools all the time. If you don't get started with PM now, we'll be talking next year at the same time, and I'll ask you, how's the PM going? And they're going to say the exact same it was going a year ago, which is nowhere, and it's going to expedite, unfortunately, the wrong way, the life cycle of your equipment. And your asset life cycle. And it's like that with us professionally. If you don't up your professional game now, next year you'll be no better than you were today in a year of life that you've not done what you need to do. So the time is now. Just get started, as a friend of mine would say. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for 2024. I think every year, I've been following along MSPMA for a long time. I've gotten really entrenched in the last couple of years, and every year it seems like it's getting better and better. You guys do a great job of removing the noise and instilling the positivity. And Salum, I want to thank Salum. He had to step off. He sent a note here. He had to get to some rink time for, I think, his son's first hockey game, so he had to take off. But I wanted to thank Salum for joining us today. I want to thank Scott for making the time today. You're mobile and having to get something important done here, and thank you for joining us and sitting in and giving us your time. And I am super excited to see and hear your presentation, because it's always good to see practitioners that are in the field getting things done and showing your peers what's possible. I can talk about it all day long from a conference room, but to have a practitioner stand in front of their peers and say, this is what's possible because this is what I'm doing is proof positive. And I think that's going to inspire a lot of folks to get off the dime and get to work and on much needed PM work. So thank you for doing that and your willingness to be here today.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think there's some good stuff that'll come out of it. And like I said, show everybody what we can do and what you can do in-house with your own staff. And it's going to be cool.
Awesome. Well, safe travels, my friend. Charley, another monthly fireside chat. We're going to, I'm going to have to get like a backdrop with a big fireplace or something for the next one, and make this really kind of cozy, but appreciate you making time here, my friend, for this monthly MSPMA catch up. Next month, we'll be talking just before the event. So we'll have the update on attendance. I predict we'll be saying that it's sold out. And we'll already be talking about April. So
I agree. That's where we'll be. I'm excited about it. Thank you, Josh, for everything.
well, we have a Charley is on some sort of repeat, and he just keeps saying the same thing. We're going to mute you, Charley. For whatever reason, Charley's stuck on repeating enough over and over again. So I think that's enough for this episode, which is pretty wild. I'm going to check on the technical piece of that. But Charley, Scott, thank you very much. This was another episode of the Show Me Mo podcast. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to send me an email, josh@beawesome.com. It's BEAUSM.com. And I can take any questions, concerns, guest suggestions. This is all about Missouri schools and Missouri school facilities, and keep doing what you're doing. Around the country, we've got facility professionals listening to this episode. We had almost 5,000 downloads in our first year, which is pretty big for a first year grassroots effort. And there's people from all around the country, facility professionals looking to learn from their peers and from the great folks in Missouri. So keep doing the great work that you're doing into this holiday season, and look forward to having you in the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.